I would like to welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Little Elm Board of Trustees, held this evening in Hackberry Elementary, January 21st, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. The subjects to be discussed are considered or upon which any formal action will be taken are listed below, which will be in the agenda item that you have available to you at the table as you enter. I'd like to say I have not my opening remarks this evening, so I'm going to wing it a little bit. So, once again, welcome. I'd like to introduce myself as well as my board members. I am Delion English, President of Little Elm ISD Board of Trustees. To my right sits Leanna Harding, our VP of the Trustee Board. Cooper Biggis, also a trustee. Unavailable this evening is Christopher Williams. And we have our new superintendent, Dr. Lois Strike. To my left, we have Alex Flores, our secretary, Mrs. Stephanie Gregg, also our trustee, and Mrs. Melissa Myers. So let's go ahead and hop into it this evening. All right. Call to order a session of cafeteria at Hackberry Elementary School, 2700 Snug Harbor, Frisco, Texas, 75034. Introductions were made, and roll call, please.
Dr. Lois Strike.
Here.
Mr. Cooper Biggis.
Here.
Ms. Leanna Harding.
Here.
Mr. Delion English.
Here.
Mr. Alejandro Flores.
Here.
Ms. Melissa Myers.
Here.
And not present, Mr. Christopher Williams and Ms. Stephanie Gregg.
Thank you. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move to the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Did you give us that time? Yeah, 6:30. Do we have any citizen input this evening?
Yes, sir.
At this time, we will open citizen input. Some of the rules for citizen input, I will read a course of action. Thank you for your interest in Little Elm ISD. Meeting of Little Elm ISD Board of Trustees are held in public according with the Texas Public Information, which requires advance notice. Note that this is a meeting of the board in public, not a public meeting. Audience participation shall be permitted at regular board meetings and at workshop meetings and shall be limited to the public comment portion designated for this purpose. At regular and workshop meetings, the board shall allot time to hear persons who desire to make comments to the board. Persons who wish to participate in a portion of the meeting shall sign up with the presiding officer or designee before the meeting begins and shall indicate the topic which they wish to speak. No presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Delegation of more than 3 shall be limited to 3 minutes to present their views before the board. The public comment portion of the board meetings shall not exceed 30 minutes. No response shall be given during the public comment portion of the regular board meeting. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included in the agenda posted as notice of the meeting. With that said, our first public comment is from Mr. Jim Seawald.
Good evening,
Sir.
Board. My name is Jim Seawald. I'm president of the United Educators Association for Little Elm here. And on behalf of all our members and all the members and employees of the Little Elm School District, I'd like to thank the board for all their hard work and dedication working here at Little Elm. We realize you spend a lot of your free time here working and behind the scenes and that is much appreciated. I'd also like to welcome and congratulate our new superintendent, Dr. Lowell Strike, and we look forward to his leadership and know that things will be getting better and better all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. This concludes the public comment section. 6:36. Next up on the agenda, approval of minutes. Discussion to approve regular minute meetings from 12/15/2014 and discussion to approve special meeting minutes of 1/5/2015. You should have those meetings available during your pack. So moved.
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion? We'll lump those as one item for approval. If there's no discussion, and there's a second, move that we approve the regular minute meetings for 12/15/2014 and 1/5/2015. All those in favor? Any opposed? The regular minute meetings are approved as stated. Next up, Superintendent Spotlight.
Well, it's my privilege this evening to welcome Mr. Lohman and Chavez Elementary. I had the opportunity to spend almost 2 hours there this afternoon and got to be there at dismissal and meet a number of great faculty. And actually, one of the students wanted to know if I was the new superintendent, and he said, "Now you're Mr. Lowell, right?" So I said, "How did he know my first name?" He said, "Well, he must have got it off the website." So they got some sharp ones over there, Chavez. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Lowell. We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Dr. Strike. Y'all can use the mic over there. I would like to echo Mr. Sewall's comments. Welcome to the Elm, Dr. Strike. Dr. Strike's been on our campus twice already. Hope we don't wear you out, but we appreciate you coming on our campus. I also want to appreciate the school board members who were able to come last Friday and participate in our school board appreciation breakfast. I know it's very hard to fit everybody's schedules, but we appreciate you and your work very much. We're off to an exciting year at Chavez Elementary. We've grown significantly, probably about 150 students, and due to our awesome board, you've provided extra support and personnel to meet some of those needs, and we try to deliver a personal education to our students. And what better way to deliver that education than to share with you tonight from two awesome teachers that we have, Audrey Pruitt and Michelle Sparks, who are two fourth-grade teachers. They're going to share a little bit about how we implement instruction at Chavez Elementary. They're going to share a little bit about Great Expectations, which is a leadership and character development program that these two ladies have had a big part in implementing this school year. So, not only are they great teachers, they're great human beings, and they love kids. So, we love Ms. Sparks and Ms. Pruitt. So, let's give them a big hand.
All right, I hope that I can. All right, so we chose to do Great Expectations at our campus because we were looking for something to bring some unity to our campus. We've got a wonderful staff, and the kids are fantastic, but we were looking for something to kind of tie it all together. So we looked last year at several different programs, and as a staff, a leadership team, we decided that we would go with Great Expectations. So they have their mission statement, their tenets that they are their guiding principles through everything. High expectations, which we know in the one we also have. Teacher attitude and responsibility, that sometimes we need an attitude check, and this is a great way to do that. All the two that we chose to focus on this year, we didn't want to overwhelm our staff, so we chose two to really focus on this year. So we've been really working on the part of number 7 that was writing and occurring daily. We know that across the district, our writing scores are not outstanding. So we've been really conscious about that and working on that in all of our classrooms. Also enriching our vocabulary, because we know, as I learned from Miss Ashley Glover in PSYOP training all those years ago, that every test is a test of reading. So if they don't know the vocabulary, then they aren't going to be successful on those tests. So we've been working on
best at my level that's completely different from the best at your level, and nobody's the wiser. One of the things that we really had spread through our campus, because I love this, spelling test, the old-fashioned spelling test is a whipping. You stand in front of 20 kids and you say the word, and then you say it in a sentence, and you say it again. And if you have one kid who's slow, it takes 45 minutes and everybody's ready to die. So we've gone ahead and we sit and we pre-recorded the morning spelling test. And we push it out on a moto and every kid gets it. And the kid who's very quick takes 5 minutes, they're done, they move on to the next thing. The kid who needs more time works at whatever pace they need. They pause, they rewind, not a problem, nobody knows, they're in control, and they work at their pace. And it is fabulous. We have kids who we can, if they're not doing well, we can set up a multiple choice test, but everybody gets what they need, and nobody else knows. One of the things that I've done in my classroom, trying to boost my ability to work with my kids, trying to give them feedback with math, I make a video in the morning. And then I post that video, and I put it in their homework folder, and they know if they go home and they're having trouble, they can pull that video up. I play it during class. I've got one group working with our math interventionists, I've got another one working with our special aid, and then I've got a group working with me. And I've got a group that are high enough that they just check in on that video when they're done to make sure they've got it. All those kids go there, and the better part is, I then have a little girl who's still struggling, and it's still challenging, goes home and says, well, Dad and I are working on this, and you helped me with homework this morning, and we figured out that problem I didn't understand, but I need to tell Dad how to do it. So then I whip up a video, and I make sure that I post it on a note so Dad knows how to do it too. Because I'm not only educating the child, I'm educating their parents too. You learn a whole lot more the second time you go through. So, I mean, there's just so many benefits that we have. We no longer have I lost it in space. It's electronically right there, and we can access it, and we can complete it, because not completing is not an option. So, the educator benefits of Edmodo is the goal setting. Right now, I'm working on math facts. My kids take a math fact quiz every single day based on different fact families. We look at how did I do last week, which dry erase marker, write that score on your desk. Today, your job is to beat that. You might only beat it by one question, but if we do that every week, we're going to grow, and that's what we need. And I'm delighted to see those kids care. They want to do well. It's no longer this number in space. It's no longer Mom and Dad are mad, and that's why I care. It's I internally care about my own goals and my own achievement, which is where we need to be. It allows us to be in those multiple places at the same time. Paper-wise, we're reducing our amount of paper tremendously, which is wonderful.
I only used 3 reams of paper last quarter, which is like nothing. Normally people go through a case in a 90-degree. I used 3 reams of paper last 9 months.
One of the things that we like that we can do, because of the way that we've designed a lot of our assessment, is we can grade with our phone, with our laptop, wherever we go. We don't carry a bag of papers with us. We can grade on the computer, and as soon as that grade's in, then the kids are looking at it. One of the fun things that we learned from a convention that we watched this summer is a digital convention that you could do through your home, through a remote. And this wonderful lady had the great idea for community building to post, and we pre-schedule all of these. We know our kids' birthdays, and on their birthday, a message pops up wishing them happy birthday. And so this is one of Mrs. Pruitt's classes coming out tomorrow for that student. And then the rest of the class chimes in, happy birthday, hope it's a great one. It's tremendous positive community building. Some of the things, and this is just kind of an absolute fun extra, but great for career readiness. In December, we celebrated the Hour of Code, which is a gigantic national and world push to get kids introduced to computer programming. And so there's a website called code.org. And you have national celebrities, you have business entrepreneurs, lots of people pushing this. And so we signed up our school, and we introduced our kids. The goal was to do 1 hour code. And there's all sorts of activities that they're doing. We'll show a picture in just a second. The kids got so hooked with coding. It's very sequential. It's about building games, and it's about following directions, and it's about testing things so that they make sense. Those kids still, every time So that's been a real plus that we've been checking out that our kids like and we like. And then looking at above and beyond elements of Chavez, we're just going to brag on ourselves a little. 5th grade goes to science camp at Camp Joel. It's 3 days.
3 days, 2 nights, and it's exhausting, but it's absolutely wonderful. The kids are so excited. They learn so many valuable life skills and have so many experiences that they otherwise, some of these kids would never have. I was 5th grade last year, so I went with them. It was phenomenal. While we were at camp, the connections that they were making, we were also doing test review for those that had failed STAR the first time. So we were getting ready for that second administration, and they could make connections to the passage we were reading based on something we had just done at camp. This year they were lucky enough to get to go in October, is that right? Mr. T. Waldman. So it's an amazing trip for these kids. And some of them will never have experiences like that in the outdoors.
Another experience we had, and I have to give kudos to Mrs. Burke because she arranged it, we got to take a charter bus, and we left at about 6 in the morning. We went down to Austin, we went to the Bob Bullock History Museum, we toured the state capitol, and then we booked it back home. We were home by about 9 o'clock that night. Kids had a fantastic, fabulous time. We learned a lot, tremendous connections to all of the Texas history that we teach. So that was an awesome trip.
I learned a lot since I'm not from Texas and teaching Texas history.
We also do our annual fish frying carnival that we know many of you have come to. We have a community Thanksgiving feast every year. We also have a phenomenal rock band that our music teacher, Mr. Duke, leads. We have a chess club. We have an annual musical, which is Aladdin this year, which will be presented, I believe, in May.
It's usually the same day as the Special Olympics. So if you want to come.
And then we offer lots of school-wide theater. We do before-school reading. We do before-school math. We do Saturday schools, I'm sure, coming up soon. So lots of opportunities. The funny thing is we were talking the other day, and Saturday school came up, and we've already had kids say, are we going? Are we going? And because we've done some special things in the past, and they are ready.
One of the picture that's on here is called Be an Eagle, and this is something that our special ed teacher and our ESL teacher, they do morning tutoring, and they do this for the number of times that you attend tutoring. You start out as an egg, and after you attend so many, then you become an eaglet, and they move you through the process of becoming a full-fledged eagle, which you can't see there on the end, but it's just really cute, and the kids really enjoy. Last year they climbed mountains, or the year before they climbed mountains, and last year they traveled to the 7 continents or something like that. So they always come up with something to get those slow babies that need that extra support and help to get them excited.
So thank you very much for letting us share with you about our campus.
Well, thank you very much. I think what's interesting, and I've found that being used throughout the district, and they certainly displayed that, is that what a child-centered place this is. You know, certain conversations were about kids and what's best for kids, and I find that more than any other district I've ever come into new, were the conversations about children, and that's why we're here. So thank you to Chavez for sharing. We appreciate that very much, what you do every day, and all of our campuses. Next, we have Little Elm High School Students of the Month. Pentecost.
Good evening. I have 2 months of students to share with you tonight. Our November Students of the Month were Aaron Landright and Maroon Service Paul. From y'all both here? That was Aaron. And Ruth, y'all come on up. They become Students of the Month by being nominated and by their faculty. And I've talked with them, and I just want to share a few things with you. Erin Lambright is one of our cheerleaders. She's also a freshman, and her goal is to go to Texas A&M and become a marine biologist. And she's currently taking pre-AP English and pre-AP biology, so she's got a good start. And very proud of her. Her mom works on campus as well, and so everybody please congratulations. And then Arun was our second student of the month for November, and he is a senior. And Arun is on my principal's advisory committee. And as I made out the list and all the different organizations, they send in names. Arun's name was on there multiple times. He is very, very involved. But his passions are computers and robotics. And he has been instrumental in getting other students involved in our robotics program. They're planning going to competitions as well as hosting competitions, and he's been a real leader in that. He also is one of our students who competes in our UIL academic competition and has made it a goal each year to compete in different competitions. So this year he competed in literary criticism and general math. And our UIL team just won as a team the whole competition. That was in the last district newsletter. So please congratulate Arun with me. He is okay, then for our December students of the month that were just announced today, actually, are Abigail Rafferty. And Braxton Howard was unable to be here tonight. But again, Abigail is one of our freshmen. I'm so excited that our staff is recognizing our freshmen because they are coming in and making contributions early. Abigail wants to try out for drill team, so hopefully she will be one of our Blue Angels coming soon. She likes school and she likes Little Elm High School because she says that she likes the freedom that her teachers give her to put her own stamp on her projects. That she feels like she's treated like an adult and not like a little kid. So we're expecting great things from Abigail in the next 3 years, and I'm very proud of her and her teachers for recognizing the efforts that she's putting forth. Thank you so much for letting me share a little bit about our students at Little Elm High School.
Thank you, Ms. Hancock. And again, congratulations to the students. You know, you think of a high school the size of Little Elm High School, and for certain students to stand out to adults to be recognized is a big deal. And so it's really neat that we recognize those students. And again, thank you to Little Elm High School, and congratulations to these students. Item C under board appreciation. As you can see up front, and I think Mr. Lohman mentioned that there was a breakfast that several were able to attend. The websites are full of things that explain January being School Board Month, Appreciation Month, and Texas Association of School Boards has a theme they call it a work of heart. And it really is, and I think if we start to think about our school board from a democratic process, it really is about local control and its purest form. And so these folks, while they're elected, the thing we have to remember is they're volunteers, and they give a tremendous amount of time, tremendous amount of energy, and that all comes with the sacrifice in that there's other things these folks could be doing tonight, and the times they're reading board agendas or waking up in the middle of the night thinking about something or talking with the parent in the community, wanting the best for kids. And I think the one thing that unifies them as a school board is that at the heart of each one of them, at the end of the day, the reason they do this is for kids, and they have that as that unifying goal. And everybody has different interests, and they come to the board with different strengths, which makes them stronger. But at the end of the day, it's about what's doing best for kids. And they're in charge of a large budget, and you think about the facilities we have and all that's on their shoulders to make decisions as elected officials. for no pay. This is truly about the democratic process and the greatness that can come out of communities that elect folks to go forward and represent them as taxpayers. And at the end of the day, they really represent our children and the future of those children. So thank you to each one of these members. They are very deserving for the work they do.
Dr. Strike, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
We'll move on to the superintendent's report. Discuss board operating procedures. The last we had on the board operating procedures, we're moving forward to create board operating procedures for the Little Elm ISD district. This was important in governing how the board operates, one, internally, and also to inform the community how we expect to operate internally. What we did a couple of months ago is we kind of got together, we sat down, we talked about this at a retreat, and decided this is something that we want to produce so that when people are coming onto the board, people who are on the board, and governance of ourselves, it's written down in a format that's available. So with that, we basically all got together, created some procedures, took some procedures from different districts, looked at some of the things that were out there, and basically said, hey, these are the things we want to look at our district. We handed those over to Mrs. Gregg, who is compiling all the information. I just wanted to know where you want to.
I'm almost finished. I don't have it for you today, but I should have it by the next meeting.
That sounds good. What we'll do is once we get the board operating procedures, the board will get together, review the procedures. What that'll do from that point is once we review, we'll send it over to the superintendent, and then they'll send it over to our legal advisors just to make sure the language is correct, make sure we got the right information in there. And also just make sure that we've covered the things we want to cover. Some of these procedures, operating procedures, are sometimes 15 pages long, other times they're 90 pages long, just depending on the district and where you're coming from. But more importantly, it's important for us to have those to make sure that we're following the right procedures and we're doing the right things. So I want to say thank you for the board members for taking the time to put these procedures together. They spent a lot of time going through, dissecting the procedures, putting it all together. Ms. Gregg, thank you very much for taking the time to get all this stuff organized and put together and then present that to us as a board. All right. Discuss district overview and construction projects.
This time we'll have Mr. Reeves will come forward and share what he has to share.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Strike, and President English, and members of the board. Just here to give a quick district overview. We have several projects that we were going to bring to you, but I wanted to make sure that you had a perspective of the entire district and the future growth that we have so that we're not caught off guard. I guess we work as a team together. So the main focus of tonight's presentation one is to provide, show you where those fast growth areas within our district are. To look at some demographic information, I'll show you not only the elementary, but our secondary, show you the opportunities that we have in the near future to do some things. Also look at some possible projects. There's some things that are in action on tonight that you can take a look at, and there's also some things that I just want to start the discussion. So when I bring up an option, it doesn't mean that's the way it's going to happen. It's just kind of to start the ball rolling, so don't get too upset if you don't like it. Also, just to provide you some next steps, just some staff's perspective to show you kind of what we think from our perspective we might want to move forward on, and then y'all decided to move forward with those. So let's take a look at our district. US 3 is up here at the top of the page. We have 720 that turns into El Dorado that comes across the bridge, and they're still working on that road, I believe. They're getting close. I think they keep telling me they're getting close. I'm finished. And I think they're going to be starting on 423 here pretty soon. So over here to our east. So if we take a look at some of the developments, we've got Lone Creek South, and that feeds into Oak Point Elementary, Rivers Park here, which feeds into that. So that's one of our fast growth areas. So get ready to get some more students coming over there. So it looks like there's about 600 homes there at build out. So when I say homes, what does that mean? So if I said there's 1,000 homes, that varies from the development. The yield factor for that is about 0.6. So for 1,000 homes equals about 600 students. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of how many students we're going to have. That's at build out. So it might take time to do that. We got Wild Ridge, which is in Oak Point. That's another fast growth. We actually share that development with Denton ISD. And we're in consultation with Denton ISD to see if there's ways that we can make sure we work with them to where we don't provide elements, or there's a major thoroughfare that can split, so it's not split between 2 yards. You might have neighbors that go to one district and another one. So, believe it or not, district lines don't follow city and town lines. They're different. We got Valencia over there, which is about 1,200 homes, so that's a little over 600 students that we get there. So it's probably an elementary campus will probably go there. And we are working with the board's been very, very great working with developers to have that land donated, so we appreciate the board's forward thinking on that. We also have land throughout the district that the board has also purchased. We've got Ridgeville, this is right down the street. You may have been driving up and seen those homes there. And of course, we got the Tribute, which is about 2,400 to 2,600 homes. I think 600 of those homes have been developed so far. So we have a lot more. They're going down the Tribute within the colony. So we got Little Mill, Colony, and Oak Point. So we're not just in one city. So let's take a look at our demographic information. And it's kind of hard to see, but this is our current enrollment numbers. Go back here. Chavez and Brand Elementary School are located within the center of Little Round. So that means that they're sort of built out. I know that Mr. Loman talked about seeing an increase because of rezoning. We did that last year, remember? But typically, you're going to see them pretty flat. They're going to be at, at that level, but they're not going to see too much growth along with Brent Elementary School. But if you take a look at Hackberry, Oak Point, the STEM, Hackberry, you see that you're going to have some growth over time. And these circles represent when that school will reach functional capacity. Okay? So you know between here and here, something's got to happen. Either you do a new school, you do portables, or you do something. So the board and us are going to have to work together to come up with that. If we take a look at our secondary level, the board was forward thinking and did some renovations at the middle school. Remember that by opening up the STEM, that alleviated some of that growth at the middle school. That took some of those over. But at Lakeside Middle School, I think that Mr. Megger's here, that's about 1,500 students that we have there. That's a functional capacity limit. They're about 1,100 right now. But you see at some point they're going to reach functional capacity. So that means something's got to happen. So you notice that these are kind of lining up right here, right? Something's going to have to happen between here and here and at our high school. I think Mrs. Pentecost was speaking. Believe it or not, that school was, and I'll show you here in a second, that school was developed for about 1,200 students. Do you have 1,200 students there now? I think it's about 1,800 students. Okay? So, possible projects. Let's take a look. Talking too much. I'll go faster. So, okay, we look at Little Elm High School. And that's hard to read. We're looking at the classroom renovation project. And that classroom renovation project is those areas that the administrative staff used to be at. And they were relocated over to Zellers. So we're looking at trying to take over those classrooms for students. For that growth that we know is already there. We're also looking at shop renovation. And that's in response to House Bill number 5. Remember they talked about, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but we want that alternative pathway to graduation. And so by doing that welding area, we're helping to provide that alternative pathway. So we have some options for renovation of the shop. When we renovate the shop, that is currently where our shipping and receiving areas for our textbooks. So if you take that, we have no place for shipping and receiving. So we need to find out something for that. And also future renovations and additions. If we look at our core spaces at the high school, remember they were developed for 1,200 students. That means your fine arts, your band, your cafeteria, your library. We add on classroom space that doesn't affect any of those core areas. So as we're going through this, we add on to that campus, each of those areas. We do a ninth grade center. And remember, we have an elementary and middle school campus we have to do too. And the state has its cap on our debt side at 50 cents. So we have a lot of opportunities in the near future to discuss how we're going to address all these needs. Talk about warehouse shipping and receiving. The plant service and transportation facility. I thank Mr. Bill Idell for coming, he's architect on the project. We had bid that project twice and we were over budget again on that project. About the same amount we were the first time because construction costs have gone up that much. So we have some options for you for that one. And also future facilities and projects. I have technology data here with technology. There's some things that they're going to have. If we look at our athletic fields, they have about an 8 to 10 year lifespan. So So that means that at the high school, they're coming up on their lifespan. You may not want to do those as bond projects because you're paying that over 30 years. You may want to do that at M&O. So do we put money aside for those projects now, year to year? Something to consider. So let's take a look at the high school. Walker Lane is right here. This is that area that used to be an administrative office. That's one part of what we're going to talk about. Also, there's some little entry vestibules we want to do at the high school to enlarge the lobby and reception area. If you go there now, it's kind of small. Also, to provide fine arts drainage issues that they have. I think some of the band members walk through the water when it rains in the parking lot, and they've asked for some help with that. And then this is the area where currently we have shipping and receiving, and that's where we want to do that shop renovation for welding, 1,200 students. So here's that classroom addition, add 600 more students, and it'll be a cost of about $373,808 for that. Okay, any questions on that part? I'm going through this pretty quick. Shop renovation option 1. Okay, if we do this, where do we put shipping and receiving? And the district probably needs a warehouse too. Where does that go? We can put it in another facility, go with Lakeside Middle School. Okay, we can add it on to the plant services facility, but we're already over budget on that. So think about that. So what does that cost? That's about $1 million to do. Okay, for that project. That's turnkey. I think as Mr. B said. What is it? Turnkey. It's turnkey, the entire project. Option 2, we could take this shipping and receiving, turn it into the shop, take over the current weight room, turn that into shipping and receiving, make it also a little bit for a warehouse, and then add on a new weight room that faces out towards the softball, baseball field. How much does that cost? Well, about $1 million. It's about the same. So these are different options. Now, if we did do it at the stadium with the plant services facility, we may be able to save with the economy of scope there, so maybe a reduction in cost. So it's something to think about. Improvements to Little High School, it's hard to see, but the entry, we're looking at moving the vestibule doors out a little bit to provide more room, and then also to provide a larger reception area, possibly 2 windows. We do have some wind bracing here structurally that we're going to have to try to work through, but we're looking at trying to just provide more service for our constituents. And that's $73,297.
Quick question.
Yes.
The estimates that you have here, are those based on today's dollars or 6 months, 12 months, 18 months out?
Sure. They're based on today's dollars. If you take a look at it, Mr. Vegas, we provided a 5% construction contingency just in case those construction prices rise between now and the time we bid it. If that makes sense.
Pretty confident they're going to rise.
They are, yes.
So, okay.
Now we are going to do competitive still proposals, so hopefully we'll get some competitive pricing, but everybody's got to work now, so it's difficult. So. These are conservative numbers, I'll tell you that. So.
Define conservative.
We provided the contingency in there to make sure that if there was an increase in construction costs, that we hopefully got that. If that makes sense.
To me, conservative means that you're on the low end. Conservative is not over.
I think we have enough money right now. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at this. So, just bear with me on this one. So, we take a look at this. It's hard to read it, it's in blue, I think, but we rebid this project twice, and we're $1 million over budget. So there's 2 reasons for that. Could be. One is the scope is way too big. It's too fancy. We've got gold-plated stuff everywhere in that plant services building. Okay, or there was not enough money to do. Okay, we rebid it twice. We cut everything out that we can. We went from a tilt wall 3-bay structure to a pre-engineered metal building, 2 bays. From a structural slab to a slab on grade with chemical injection. And like I said, I don't think we can get it any smaller. This wouldn't be worth doing if we get it any smaller. We can cut everything we can out of that. So I'm feeling that we didn't have enough allocated at the beginning. That's just from my perspective. So what do? There's some options there. One is we can accept the bids if you provide additional funding for that. for that project. 2 is we don't have to do the project. We can stay where we're at. We can do that. Or 3, maybe we can combine, with the warehouse and do a warehouse with that. Try to combine those 2 projects together. If that makes sense. So what are some next steps? Okay, if we look at classroom renovations, we feel confident that we would recommend moving forward with that project and have that ready for next school year. So remember, that was that $300,000 we're going to be asking for. We look at the shop renovation. We probably need some discussion. What are the options that we have there? We have, the option 1 where we do the shop and do a ship and receive somewhere else, or we do option 2 where we do a new weight room, or we don't do it. So.
On these options that we're looking at, are we losing anything that we're offering, or are we just trying to shuffle around and make use of the space with what we have and everything basically remains the same as far as capacity? Like you're talking about the weight room, are we going to lose any space? Are we gaining space?
No, it'd be the same space. I talked with Ms. Howe, the athletic director. It would be the size, it would be about 5,000 square foot addition weight room, which is adequate for a high school. Actually, a high school about 3,000 students. So we would be getting what we have now.
Okay.
So what do we have now? What is the space now?
It's about 4,500 square feet, 5,000. Be comparable. We need to be adding what we have now.
Okay, so it'll be comparable to what we have now.
That's correct. Now that does affect, I say you want to add on those 4 spaces at the high school, that say athletic weight room, not the weight room, but the locker rooms and things like that. If we build that weight room there, we use that place to expand those areas. So just something to think about.
And the shipping and receiving, that's for the whole district?
Yes.
It's not just.
That's correct. And we do not have a warehouse. So do we rent space somewhere else? Just from our perspective, we don't want to store extra furniture or anything. We're just putting it in different closets and everywhere. So stuff's been going on storage space.
If I had to simplify that, it's essentially $1 million to add a shop for welding.
That's correct. Now remember, that's turnkey. I think there's about $80,000 of that is for FF&E. You have all your FF&E that you have to think about, your HVAC. There's a lot of equipment that goes into that welding shop. And I think currently there was 3. It used to be a welding shop, at least it was designed for 3. We're going to be adding 6. And we have a breakdown of all that cost for you.
Is there a lot of interest? Sorry. Is there a lot of interest for a shop? For the welding?
We currently have 93 students that are in the principles of construction services, which feeds into the construction piece and the welding piece. So currently, in the first year offering that sequence, we have 93 students enrolled. So that's a lot of students for us that are interested in that pathway. By House Bill 5, we have to offer those endorsement areas. And so this would be one of the ways that we would be fulfilling that need.
With House Bill 5, are we required to have those on campus and on site, or can we do some joint collaboration with them with some things we've done in the past?
We don't have to have those on site. We used to travel to ATC, and we were spending almost $50,000 on transportation alone. That doesn't cost. It does not include the cost of the tuition per student that we were paying them, which I believe was about $1,500 to $1,800 a student per year.
And we're not always guaranteed space there, correct?
No.
At one point, we had talked about doing it over at the Powell. Is that out of the option because of the construction we did at Powell? Is there no longer space there?
I don't remember those conversations, but Powell is the 6th grade.
Yeah, at one point we had talked about renovating some of that space for the.
We wouldn't have room because then we wouldn't have room at the high school. I mean, at the LMS and the transportation costs still in. So, but I mean, that would be interesting to look at. But I don't think we have facilities to put a full Kate Center, and we would be transferring kids back and forth.
This was about 2 years ago.
I don't think
that
so.
That was on the plan.
This was originally the shop, and then 6 years ago, they closed that program down and turned it into shipping and receiving.
We don't have any room at Zellers for shipping and receiving?
No. We can always try that on.
Mr. Reed, since there was already a shop there in this $1 million cost. Is there infrastructure already in place that if it was not a shop previously, it would be extra cost for us at another location?
That's a great point, Dr. Strike. Yes, there is infrastructure already located there. There are certain equipment there. Now we have to see it as that current codes. I believe it was original to when it was built. And so those, I think it's noted on the plan, we can look on the board, but you'll see those things where we'll test to see if there's certain equipment that can be reused. So there can be a cost savings there.
Thank you.
Well, if we take a look at the improvements to Little Elm High School, we talked about that entry vestibule. We recommend moving forward with that aspect, and also for the band, that parking lot, they've been very patient with us, and I really feel that we can move forward on that. This is from my perspective, to make sure that those kids aren't walking in the water over there. I think they put a little shark out there as a joke. So if we take a look at the core additions to the high school, now this is going to have to be some long-range planning we're going to have to do. What do we do there? How do we address those? At build-out, how big is that campus going to be? How many students are we going to have? Are we going to have 3,000 students at build-out for Little Elm LEISD? 3,500? Do we have a big high school? Probably half South Allen, but still, it'd be 3,000 students. Or do we do a ninth-grade center? Do we have a transition center for those coming from middle school? Something to think about. Planned service and transportation facility. We can accept the bids, like we said. We can reject them. Or we can look at adding on to that space, that warehouse space there at Love Complex.
Refresh my memory on what the approved budget was for that and where we
It was
stand today.
$2.25 million. I think construction cost was $1.6 million, so we came in about $2.7 million on our bids. And they were all, there was 5 bidders that came in pretty close.
And what was approved?
2.25 total, but it's 1.6, I believe, for the construction, 1.66 million for construction. It's like 2.48 square foot, what it came in at.
So where are we, so I'm sorry, where are the bids coming in? The bids, are you saying the bids are just for construction, or?
Well, the bids are just for construction, that's correct. So, we would need, we have them different project codes. So the project code we have for construction is 1.66 million. So then we would need to add another million to that project code to be able to fund the construction. We already have those, those other FF&E costs taken care of, I guess. And maybe a little over $1 million after the exact. So if you did move forward with it, if we did receive bids from Stride, you evaluate those. We do have a recommendation to bring you to the next board meeting. And then future facilities. Remember we talked about a new elementary, a new middle school, those technology needs, those athletic fields. So the idea tonight is not to make a decision tonight on a lot of that stuff, but at least to get us all thinking about how are we going to move forward. So on that note, I threw a lot at you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Be looking forward to the proposal, I guess.
I'd like for us to consider maybe an anchor academy with a CTE across the high school. I mean, if we're just going to wish here.
Yes. I think we're going to think outside the box and different things and different ways to get there. It may not be traditional, but the state really caps us. For pastoral districts, I mean, they're really answering us. So.
I'd like to see a couple of different proposals. I agree with, we've got the land across from the high school.
That's correct.
Let's see what our options would be. I know we have the danger of moving the kids across that busy, the roads are getting busier, but what are our options?
True.
We do own the land. Whether
We
it's
provide
like happening with
across.
a CTE or can we expand and build out on the property? Can we do another tower like what we did last time? What else can we do? We also have, where the bus barn and that kind of stuff is. What can we utilize some of that and refurbish it? We have other property around town. Maybe we can use some of that existing.
Sure.
Give us some options.
Yeah, I think we have plenty of land on the high school, right? There's plenty of property there. Let's see what
We have property behind it too.
buying the tennis courts, there's property.
Yeah.
So the board's been very great about getting property. So we do have options like that.
But I think the most important part is if we come back, let's make this a long range plan so that we don't have to incur every 2 or 3 or 4 years, come back to the situation where, oh, it's 2 or 3 million or 4 million. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's plan it out, particularly based on what our projected growth is in the city.
There are two things though for action that we might move forward, at least for consideration. So for this evening.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. At this time, the board will recess into closed meeting for the conference room as permitted by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Code Subchapter 551.074 and 551.071 at 7:34.
What are these? I've been looking at them the whole time I've been sitting there.
I don't know what it is.
Some kind of cake?
I don't know.
It's adorable. I was like staring at it the whole time, wondering what it was. It's like it's some kind of cupcake.
Yeah. All right, reopen the open session, regular meeting at 8:30. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. Consent agenda has 5 different items. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? Is so move on the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor of approval of consent agenda, please say aye. Now raise your hand. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on to business items. Discuss and consider action on recommendation for Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Learning Services. Now, who's that one? Dr. Strike, that's you?
Okay. I thought Leo was going to take that.
Oh, Ms. Epps? You take that? All right.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just really faint all of a sudden, I'm sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
The administration would like to recommend.
Yes, we'll take care of it. We'll do it. We'll do a 2-second recess, 2-minute recess, so I'll just get it taken care of.
We can wait. We can just wait.
All right. We'll have those take care of Mrs. Epps. Okay? Okay. Could one of those please escort her and help her? Thank you. All right. Yeah.
Let's move down. I make a motion that we move down to.
No motion required. We'll just move it on.
You just want to move?
Yeah, we move that. Dr. Strike, what we'll do is we'll move down from the audit recommendations for personnel and move down to the no, H. I'm sorry, yeah, H. Everything else is required for her.
Okay.
We'll move down to H, discuss and consider action on school calendar for 2015-2016.
We're bringing to you tonight the school calendar for the 2015 school year. We did put this out to survey, and after the survey, the testing calendar for the state came out in draft And it was overlapping on one of our bad weather days. So we actually moved that. We sent out an email to our DEIC to let them know about that move. So it was moving from April 15th to June 3rd. And we got no negative responses from the DEIC, so we feel comfortable bringing this calendar to you.
Okay. All right. Good.
Is that the only change on the calendar?
That was the only change in the calendar after the survey.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion for action on 2015-2016 school calendar?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion?
Do we have any information on the proposed graduation and that kind of stuff yet, or is that not part of this calendar?
No, no. But I can find out when that is and have it for you in the Friday update.
I would assume it's that Saturday, but with this year.
I'm not sure, so I'll get that to you.
I appreciate
this
it.
Friday's update.
Okay. That's the calendar. Oh, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of school calendar for 2015-2016, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Motion carries. School calendar is approved. Item I, discussion, consider action on 2015-2016 new course.
Yes, we're bringing to you the new courses that we would like to offer at our secondary levels. I had to put undercover 2 courses that were not in the board book after some information that was obtained at a training at Region 11 by Michigan. And so undercover, we added the 2 additional courses.
Which 2 courses?
Computer science.
The 2 computer science
Computer
courses.
science 1 and computer science 2.
We actually have to offer those. Students have to have the opportunity to enroll in a computer science course. And so we're putting both of them in. Computer science 1 would have no prerequisite. Computer science 2 would have to take computer science 1. So the likelihood of us having to offer computer science 2 is small, but if we had students that were coming in from another district that had already taken computer science 1, we have to be ready to offer computer science 2. And then the rest of the courses were in your board book.
I'm sorry, did you say they have to take it, or we just have to
We
offer
have
it?
to offer
Okay.
it.
You had me nervous for a
No,
second.
no, sorry, we have to offer it.
Thank you.
Every kid is in computer science. That's all right. We got a bunch of little little Google employees running around. That's all good.
And it takes a very specific certification. We'll go on, once these are approved, then we'll go on and start going on the hunt for that teacher with that certification.
Okay.
The summary sheet indicates that the financial implications on the summary sheet require are there zero costs associated with zero financial implications with regarding these classes?
One of the financial implications that we discussed yesterday would be textbooks, and I don't have that information.
Is there a minimum enrollment to?
If the course didn't make it, in the course guide, we put in every course that we want to offer, but if they do not make to meet, I think it's 20. Some of the AP courses are smaller. For example, AP Calculus, we might only have 10 students in there. But the general classes, for example, American Studies, that we would be offering as a 4th social studies to meet the House Bill 5 requirement for that 4th specialized social studies. If that didn't make, then we wouldn't offer it. So the students would have the opportunity to what we would call forecast, typically we call that register, for the classes that they would like to take. But if they don't make, certainly we would not offer them. Unless it was in a strand, one of the endorsement strands, are trying to gain interest in it. So for example, digital graphics are one of those courses. We may offer it the first year at a lower enrollment to try and see if we can gain interest in it by the second year. But that would be one of the only reasons why we would.
Okay, you started to touch on my other questions, digital graphics. Hardware costs for any of these, I mean, so you talk about textbooks, something like digital graphics caught my eye on this. Those are usually high-end computers that are associated with those classes.
We already own the software with our programs that we already offer. We already have those labs set up so we'll be able to use the same labs. And then part of the renovation with the classrooms that we took over that were in the Administration Support Center, those were originally built to be the CTE type wing, and so they are already heavily loaded with the electricity and the data drops that we would need, so we could utilize those as well.
No further discussion or questions? Make a motion for,
I just want to say I'm glad that with the course offerings, I'm glad to see that we're offering new things. The ACTEC, I think, is great. We're finally going to be competitive with Frisco and Prosper and the other schools. The student leadership, I think, is outstanding. I mean, something outside of our core curriculum, you know, something that's not required by the state. So kudos for everyone and the team. So thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Make a motion. Is there anyone to make a motion for 2015, 2016 new courses? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. All those in favor of approving the 2015 new courses, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item J, discuss and consider action on off-campus PE.
In the fall, 2 or 3 times I've gone to off-campus PE organizations. One of the ones that I did not bring you, we haven't had an application yet for FC Dallas, but now we have a student that actually plays for the FC Dallas junior team and travels with the team, and so his application is undercover for you. So we would like to add this to our list of approved off-campus PE facilities, and then we would, if approved, we would be honored for 3 years.
Is there a motion for, are any further discussions? No. There is motion for off-campus PE course approval?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of off-campus PE course, you raise your hand or say aye. Motion carries. Approved for off-campus PE. Discuss and consider action on CH Local.
We're bringing back to CH Local again. Undercover is the wording that we are changing after consult with our legal advisors. This came after Board Book was published. So the change from what I recommended in Board Book is the sentence in the beginning of the second paragraph: annually the superintendent shall bring to the board routinely recurring expenses to be approved in advance. And so, and then we are asking again for the $25,000 limit to be raised to $50,000.
If I could just, for the board's clarification, give you the reasons for the change, because Ms. Micah did get this from TEA. It's their proposed language. As a firm, we don't always recommend TEA's language because they can be, sometimes we fall a little bit off the mark, and this is one of those instances. And just for purely, contract drafting 101, you don't define a term in the first paragraph and then use different terms in the next paragraph, and I found that that was what the problem was here. So while the effect of it is the same, that paragraph, that's why the change was recommended by us. As far as the routine, I mean, you define the term routinely recurring expenses above, so carry that through to the next paragraph. As well as above, we define that the superintendent is going to be the one who's going to be making who's going to be presenting these expenses to you. And so why in the second paragraph would we say the district? It's going to be the superintendent. So we just want that to be consistent.
Cool. No further discussion? Is there a motion for approval of CH local?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a second. All those in favor of approval for CH local, raise your hand and say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item L, discuss and consider action on update 101.
In TASB Update 101, we are looking at, of course, all the legals, which we don't have a choice in, we will update those. But we're also looking at the locals. CH local, we're looking at what we just approved with CH local. We go right into what TASB to change that before I send it in. But that addresses the portion of CH local that this is talking about is the wet fund. We already do that. It just brings us the wording in line with the rest of the state because that's a new policy update for the entire state is to accept electronic bids, which we have been doing for about 18 months. The others are listed there on your background information and we're in your workbook.
Any discussion on update 101? No? Okay. No discussion. Entertain a motion for approval of update 101.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval for update 101, raise your hand and say aye. Motion carries. Okay, okay. Discuss and consider action for Little Elm High School repurposing.
Yeah, the board, we would ask for your recommendations to go ahead and move forward on the renovations to the classrooms. Remember, those areas that the administrative staff moved out to Zellers, and also for those administrative improvements, which would be the charging of the reception lobby, along with the drainage fix with the bank parking lot. So we ask you to consider and approve those this evening.
The 373, that was what we were looking at this afternoon, and that was just the old admin offices?
That's correct. So the price for the classroom renovations is $373,808, and then for the administrative renovations would be $73,287. You have both of those broken down.
Okay, but that's all still the same area?
One's in front of the school,
Okay.
and the other one's where the front of the old admin.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to break down. I remember, that's why I was going to ask you how this cost went up so much, because when we had talked about this, you know, with Zellers and then what it was going to cost to change the offices back to classrooms, it was considerably lower, and if I remember, like 100 to 150.
I believe the board allocated $150,000 for the repurposing of Zellers, and to be, how can I say this? We've had to spend some of our own budget. That I think budget was low too, budget low. So we spent a lot of our own maintenance operations funds to creatively try to get that thing to work. So it's not apples to apples. If that makes sense.
What's the total on that?
73.
So,
400 and what?
447.95.
I think the total is $447.95.
Okay, so this will take care of, for clarification on my own, I'm trying to keep it separated. So the offices that were used in the high school, this will cover all of those offices being turned back into classrooms?
That's correct.
And then remodeling that front lobby?
That's correct. And the parking lot fix.
Oh, and the park,
For
okay.
$20,000.
That's part of the 473?
Be 447, or that was my math, so I might double check it. I'll take the higher amount.
The band parking lot, right?
Band parking lot.
Yes, the band parking lot.
So is this going,
So what's the impact
so
on
this
our
actually
budget?
goes above what we've already budgeted? Or did we,
This would be taken out of fund balance, so
Out of
this is
fund
just
balance.
us requesting that, this is something that we're bringing to you for the first time.
Okay. So
thank you.
with the Zeller's Move administrator, this wasn't considered when that
No,
Zeller's Move was in place?
no, sir.
Okay.
I wish it was.
Think through, completely think through. Yeah. Yeah, make a motion.
Does this include any landscaping by any chance? You know, I mean, come on, you got some flowers, something.
I hear you.
You could ask for volunteers. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's people in the community that would love to do
I'm gonna make a motion because we don't like discussion because I'm actually in support of what Stephanie is saying. Do we have a motion, make a motion on Little Elm High School repurposing?
So moved.
There is a motion, there's a second.
Second.
Second, it's discussion. So Stephanie, I have to agree with you. Some of our campus landscaping, yeah.
As you're putting your plans together.
Yes.
Can you please give me something, a plan or something,
Yeah.
come back to us with some
Yeah.
proposal?
Sure can. Yeah.
We got some campuses, Chavez, you walk down in Chavez and you see cracks in
Just
the,
let you know about Chavez, what we're working on is that I think the water's been down there for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And so we're using some of our maintenance operations funds.
Sure.
to get that back up.
Just some-
So,
yeah.
Yes, we're working.
in the summertime, some nice grass, some covering trees. I'm with you, Stephanie.
I mean, we want our kids to learn, and it really, first impression, and if you give them I know it's just facade, but you want them to be proud of where they
I
are.
agree.
And the teachers are there working hard, and our kids are working hard. It makes a difference.
Have you talked to Dr. Strick?
I have.
Mr. Reeves and I just had that conversation. We're driving the district together.
Very
We
nice.
have to do Dr. Strick.
Very nice. All right, we're in discussion phase.
I'm surprised, I mean, we see what the costs are here, the comment was made, it would come from fund balance, but what does that leave us at fund balance? What does that do for the budget for the year? What are the financing options and alternatives that we have? We don't have any of that, we've got a number, and we don't really know where this is gonna get paid from. It's easy to say it's gonna get paid from fund balance, but I don't see anything related to that. I don't see where that leaves us with fund balance, or whether there's options within the existing budget to fund some of this. So all of it doesn't come from fund balance. I'd like to see some deeper numbers associated with this as it relates to the budget.
How soon would construction begin?
Well, we would need to start fairly soon. We would need to start on the drawings would be fairly simple, but we would need to make sure we go through a procurement method for our CSPs, competitive proposals. And so we're on a pretty tight timeline, but we always, at the serve budget of the board, so we can bring back some more information on where Mr. Reeves will talk about funds will come from and possible other job savings from there. So
What is your drop dead date?
I'd say by the end of February, we have to have action.
Because we need those classrooms by next year.
We're going to need them. So, but like Mr. Regan said, that's why I want to present a big picture this evening, just so you know how maybe this isn't as important as other things. So,
I agree with Mr. Vegas, though. It would help the board if whenever you come with proposals, if you can kind of have the budget along with it.
sure.
So we can have not only the drawings and the plans, but the financials.
Well, one of my questions that we've got 100,000 for furniture.
Yes.
When we took these from classrooms to offices the first time, did we have furniture
I
already in
have
there?
no clue.
Can you find out?
Yes.
Because it's got to be somewhere. I mean,
Yes.
I'm,
I don't know if they sold it, if they did. but
I
we
think
have
there's
it.
a storage room somewhere, maybe
We have
at
storage
King
at
or
King.
somewhere.
Yeah, Kings.
But
So,
I believe almost all of those high school furniture's already been taken. So if we give you a breakdown of King, how much you have left over, a lot of that's already broken, but we can give you a list of all of that.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit of breakdown of what's the, I guess, if there's anything electrical, desks, tables, what
Yeah, we
what
can
we're
give you,
putting.
actually, we can give you the breakdown of all the furniture that's listed we want. We can get that to you, it gives you line item by line item of all the furniture.
Because that includes whiteboards and all.
Sure.
Of that.
Yeah. Well, the markboards will be part of the construction, but we will give you a breakdown of all of it.
Ms. Speaker.
I think in terms of the furniture, I know that I walked with Ms. Pentecost and we did reclaim most of the high school furniture, all of it, I think, that we tagged. There were desks, student desks and chairs in there that were meant for high school. But as the high school enrollment increased, we were continually bringing that furniture back into the high school and utilizing the classrooms that we currently have. And so the furniture that was taken out is in use and we reclaimed most of it. And then also, I know that when we moved into our offices at Zellers, we went and took desks out of King that were at King in storage. Because a lot of our offices at the administration building were built in. So that, and a lot of stuff stays in the closets and things stay in the classroom. So we did a pretty good job of rating King furniture. And I know that Ms. Pentecost was excited to see as much of the desks because they needed them at high school.
Okay.
If that answers a little bit of that question about where
Where the furniture is. Okay.
and please understand, we're not trying to be cheap. We don't want to use broken equipment. We just don't want to buy something if we already have it. So we're trying to make the best use of our taxpayers' dollars.
So it sounds as though we got some concerns about financial impacts to the district.
We'll bring that back to you.
Yeah, so we'll table this item until that point.
So I move we table.
Yeah,
I move we table this item.
Second.
second. There's a movement to table. There's a second. All those in favor? Item M is tabled. All right. Is Ms. Epps okay? No. Okay. All right. All right, stepping in. All right, we're going to, business item A, discuss and consider action on recommendation for Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Learning Services.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Strike. The administration has a recommendation for the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Learning Services, and that recommendation is currently our Executive Director, Ms. Cindy Mega.
Is there a motion for approval of Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Learning Services?
So moved.
So moved. And there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? For discussion?
I think Ms. Mickle will do a great job. We're very proud of everything that she's done and stepped up and really helped the district. And I personally think you'll do an outstanding job. We're glad to have you.
I like the clap.
Yeah, there's a motion, get a vote. All those in favor of Ms. Cindy Nika for Assistant Superintendent, raise your hand, say aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Okay,
now we clap. Discussion and consideration action on recommendation for Deputy Superintendent for Education Services.
I'll take that one. Members of the board, President English, I would like to make the recommendation for the position of Deputy Superintendent for Educational Services, Mr. Matthew Gutierrez.
All right. Is there a motion for recommendation for Deputy Superintendent of Education Services?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second? There's a second. All those in favor? Raise your hand, say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries for Deputy Superintendent.
Congratulations.
Thank you, members of the board. Certainly honored to continue to serve Little LEISD. Thank you.
Great. Discussion and consider action on recommendation for Director of Communications.
We have a recommendation for Ms. Patricia Robbins to join us in the capacity of Director of Communications and Community Partnerships.
Is there a motion for recommendation for Director of Communications?
So moved.
So there's a motion and a second. Any discussions? No discussions? All those in favor for recommendation of the Director of Communications, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Discuss and consider action on recommendation for one paraprofessional.
Members of the board, we are asking for a paraprofessional employee for the business service office. We are looking to make a couple of staffing changes moving forward to be at a cost savings, which will provide additional support that the business services department is currently not receiving in a variety of different areas with purchasing, assisting in bids, monitoring activity funds, collateral monitoring, assisting accounting with several bank statements, maintaining district contracts, purchasing for district, banking daily deposits, assisting with posting cash receipts, and the list goes on.
And Mr. Gutierrez, does that not, in some of those moves, includes a move strategically that would place somebody in educational services and support?
It would.
That's based on previous conversation I had with the board, so that they understood that.
Correct. So, the educational services division or department would able to have additional support, and then we'd be able to provide the support that's needed right now in the business office.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here's a motion for approval of one paraprofessional.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of one paraprofessional, please raise your hand and say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Discuss and consider action on personnel memorandum.
Members of the board, you were provided a hard copy of those individuals who we are recommending for hire, as well as an update on resignations. So we're asking for your approval on some hires that we are eager to get into classrooms.
The question on exempt personnel, Timothy Jensen, the network administrator, is that a teacher's position or is that strictly network?
The network administrator is a position that would support technology.
Okay.
We lost a director of technology back in the fall, and as a cost saving measure, we're replacing that position with a network administrator.
Okay. Does that person move to Chapter 21?
They are not Chapter 21.
Okay.
They will be on a employment agreement.
Entertain a motion for the approval of personnel memorandum.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of approval of personnel memorandum? Those opposed? Motion carries. Personnel memorandum is approved. Discuss and consider action on TU aid for Chavez Elementary.
We're seeking additional support for the TU classroom at Chavez Elementary. As Mr. Loman stated earlier, their enrollment has increased on the campus as a whole by about 150. But the campus also houses our TU unit, and they have received, since December, we have 3 additional students. And as you all know, those students are high-need students, and asking for additional support to increase that teacher to student, to decrease the teacher to student ratio.
Discussion. Can I have a motion for approval of TU Chavez Elementary?
So moved.
So moved. There's a second. There's a second. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor of TU A Chavez Elementary, say aye or raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carries. Final item. Discuss and consideration action on band stipends.
We had discussed, I believe, back in mid-fall, providing stipends to 2 band directors who are traveling throughout the day on a daily basis because of the addition of a new school and because of the staffing needs and increasing number of band students. We have 2 band directors who are clocking in about, one of them 13 miles a day and the other about 20 miles a day, and we had asked for a stipend for one band director for $1,500 and another stipend for $1,000, and what we were tasked with was to do a comparison to make sure that we were being fair and that they would be paid accordingly. And so we looked at their travel for the number of days that they worked, and the cost is pretty much equal if we were to reimburse by miles traveled. One director would receive $1,572, and we've asked for $1,500, and the second director would receive with a reimbursement $1,072, and we've asked for $1,000 stipend, and that is just for this school year.
What do we plan to do next year?
Our hope next year is that we'll be able to staff either more creatively, or we probably be looking at, I know we had conversations with Mr. Felice in the spring about possibly adding some support in his program, but we staffed very tightly this year, and he had asked to at least have a part-time director in the spring, and we encouraged him to try to be creative in his staffing this year. Therefore, we have the traveling. So likely in the spring, because of the growth of the band program, we'll probably be in need of an FTE to support band, which will then decrease the amount of travel.
How's that press week? Or mostly at press week?
Well, they're traveling between Prestwick, the high school, and Lakeside.
So there will still be some commuting, correct?
Correct.
Any further discussion? No? No further discussion? Entertain a motion for approval of a band stipend.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of a band stipend, raise your hand or say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we've gone through that. All right, moving on to 11, requested agenda items. Does the board have any requested agenda items?
I do.
Okay.
Let me get my list out.
Oh, you got the list.
You got the list this time, huh? All right, you like the list.
It's not me.
Dr. Strike?
Yes, sir.
I know that you mentioned in your summary on Friday that you're having discussions with Denton ISD regarding the land swap. I'd like for us to continue to have those discussions in these meetings until we reach a resolution. I'd also like for us to continue having discussions on the bring your own device. I know Mr. Bigas, I mentioned that there had been some discussions in the past, and I believe our contract is up at the end of this year, if I remember correctly, for the Apple computers. So we probably need to have those conversations as well and figure out what we're going to do for next year.
I think we own them.
Yeah, we on
We'll
the
have
device.
a discussion. This
Okay.
is
Yeah.
wrong time for it.
JROTC. I don't want to let that one go, and I know Ms. Gregg doesn't want to let that one go, so we can continue having discussions on the JROTC, please.
Well, and I think as we're looking at building capacity and
Yep.
options, because that was, building space is one of the considerations, depending on which avenue we went. We got to consider that, so.
And I think that's why it's important that we do a long-range facilities plan, and it needs to be based around not just growth, but what are our curriculum offerings going to be so that we have the right spaces to offer those. And that's the advantage of that plan, plus it helps to be able to plan financially too. So that would certainly be a consideration. Thank you.
And a concern that keeps coming up for me is the computer repair time frame. It seems to take a long time before the students get their computers back when they have to go to the Chrome Dome or go somewhere for repair. So I'd like to find out what the time frame, the turnaround time is on that for these students to get their computers back. And do we need to consider another technician to help with repairs?
Another position.
Another position. I mean, we've increased the number of computers this year to 4th and 5th graders. So do we need to have that discussion?
Or maybe a different concept.
And let staff figure it out. Basically, staff figure out what their needs may be there in the technology room.
And my last item is, can we consider an invocation as they do in other board meetings? Maybe we can reach out to our ministerial group and see if they'd be interested in coming forward and offering an invocation at the beginning of each board meeting. See if there's an interest there from our ministerial group. That's all for me.
Any other board members have any future agenda items?
I'd like an update on, and Dr. Strike and I just spoke about this a few minutes ago, but if we can get an update on transcripts. We're in the beginning of the spring season. I know it's that time, and I just want to make sure, I know we still have some bugs, so I just want to make sure we're good, and if we're not, let's fix it now before we really, I want this to be a smooth spring, if at all possible. So if y'all can give us an update, that would be wonderful. And not necessarily for the next board meeting, but maybe I want to just kind of put it out there. If y'all can kind of help me with, I'd like to start seeing us do some focusing or maybe get some, what's the word I'm looking for our high school students to do some, I'm drawing a blank, where they go out and do like working with other companies and stuff. Internships, thank you. So I knew you were going to help me. It's been a long day. I know, in the community, there's a lot of organizations that said that they'd be willing to, and I think we're heading in the right direction, like I said, with the leadership organization, the classes. So maybe that would be the next step. So not necessarily next meeting, but kind of long-range planning. Maybe that can kind of go hand in hand. But I'd love to see us reaching out in that direction.
And let me make a comment on in terms of the planning piece and things like that. That's why it's important that we'll start the strategic planning process, because those are some of the areas that are already on paper that I have in terms of internships and some things we can do. That way, at least the board as well as the community would know what we're planning and when it's going to happen. And so that's a great suggestion.
No.
I have a couple. One, I remember we talked about this probably 2-3 meetings ago, but grading policy. I wanted to find out, just get a better understanding of what that policy is district-wide, not just at the campuses. So if we can bring that up for the next one, just what our overall.
I sent an email to him today. That was my one.
Okay.
So he's going to take it in front of the principals next month?
Yeah, next month, Cindy has a meeting with the principals, and that'll be a start of discussion point. And I think internally we'll also sit down as a leadership team and review that along with principal input and then make the decision to go from there. I don't know, Cindy, do you have anything to add to that?
We've been meeting. We've had 1 or 2 meetings specifically on it. We've already, all of the administrators together. And so it is a process. It was a long meeting. We all talked. We took notes. And so we are in the process of revising that. And of course, Dr. Stryker leading us in that as well.
to. It's not a quick process because a lot of negotiating between the grade levels occurs. So, but we made a lot of progress so far.
Thank you. The other one I had was with the introduction of Chromebooks at 4th and 5th grade level. I'd really like to see what parents' perspectives are on that. So maybe a survey or something just to understand how it's affecting their household with their kids and having the Chromebooks at 4th and 5th grade and what that looks like. And then my last one is I want a review, if possible, of the policy on our nonprofits that utilize our facilities, just to understand what that policy looks like, what the charges are for certain entities to utilize. I think Dr. Strike, you and I talked about that last week. So I'd like a better understanding of that as well.
Good.
Any others? You got anything? Okay. I had a couple myself. One of the things I want to look at for our students and our kids, and Dr. Stark talked a little bit about this, is maybe some type of Little Elm Education Foundation or some type of foundation that would have potentially donations for the community and business community that we can use for our kids, as well as supplies for the teachers. Maybe we can use that as some grants for some of the kids, just some different things there. So
So are you wanting to reignite the foundation that we used to have?
if we had one, I would.
We used to have one.
Okay.
We had one for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And then it dwindled.
It dwindled.
It stopped.
Okay,
I guess
well.
is probably the better word.
What was it
Right.
called?
Leaf?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's, yeah.
Well,
It was
good.
it was a strong foundation and then it stopped.
Well, let's revisit
So-
some of our nonprofits to support some of that stuff. Okay.
Just my
LEAN.
So I want to bring that back up. Another thing is we have a lot of opportunity, I think, coming up with businesses in our community, as well as large corporations that are moving. For us in the board to really get an opportunity to get in some of those people. We have Toyota coming into our surrounding communities. A lot of potential people will be moving inside of Little Elm from Toyota. So it'd be nice to see if we can really start building some relationships with them, as well as relationships with Hope Caterpillar.
And I just, as a prelude, that I have a meeting set up with the superintendent of Frisco, Dr. Lyon, because they reach out to Frisco and Plano in particular because of location. But we know for a fact, and I had verified from one of our bank individuals here, lots of people that are buying homes and looking at homes from Toyota in particular. And I'm going to make sure that when they approach those two districts that we're in discussion also.
Okay.
And there's other companies too.
Great.
Maybe we can get a grant from them to help with our mechanical, or, our mechanics program.
Yeah. From Hope Caterpillar would be great.
You never know, we can ask.
Yeah. Why not? That's all I have.
I'm sorry, I have one more.
Oh, got one more.
I've got one more, sorry. There's a program called Kids Vision for Life that helps, the less fortunate that may need help with glasses and stuff like. Can we look into that program and see if that's something we can bring to Little Elm? Kids Vision for Life.
Kids Vision for Life?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. All right. Any board comments?
Got one. Miss Epps,
You okay?
you gonna make it?
How are you feeling?
So, sir.
Okay, good.
Checking in on you.
I'd like to say thank you for all the wonderful people, for the gifts and the students, for the wonderful notes and stuff. I have them. This is my 6th year on the board, and I don't keep all my memos, but I kept every year all my student notes and stuff. So please let them know it really does mean a lot. And on a bad day, I pull out all my books and my student drawings and my thank yous and stuff, and it makes it worthwhile. That's why we're on the board. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Appreciate
just want
it.
to say congratulations, and it's very well deserved, Ms. Micah, Mr. Gutierrez, both of you. Y'all have done an excellent job over this last year, and I think it's very well deserved. Congratulations in your first week. And you haven't run away, so we're going to.
The week's not over yet.
Yeah. That's wonderful. All right. Any other comments? No. sure I have everything. No other comments? I entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
So moved. A second? Second. All those in favor? All right. We are adjourned at 9:19.
9:22?
9:19.